Hi everyone, and hi Jimena. Today my guest is Jimena Gutiérrez Lince, a conservation biologist based currently in Costa Rica, but originally from Mexico. And today we are taking an unprecedented, unexpected and surprising turn into sustainable tourism and how it marries with conservation actions. We are seeing today, it's not a surprise probably for anyone, how climate changes. And one of the core roles that is at the center, at the epicenter of everything that we're witnessing now is the loss of biodiversity. As a result, we can see the changes in the trophic chain and so on. And today we will see how tourism and its sustainable kind of way of doing can help with conservation actions. I am very pleased to welcome my guest, Jime, today. Jime was also studying with me during the Masters for 2 years. We were doing, what was it called? Erasmus Mundus in Applied Ecology, together in France. Where else? UK we were together, and that was it. Yeah, so in France and UK we were together. We were even living in the same house in Norwich. So we know each other pretty well, and it's my great pleasure to have you today on the podcast. Jime, for the listeners, could you please briefly introduce yourself and lead us to your biggest passion?
Yeah, of course. So hi everybody. I'm very pleased to be here with Anna. As she said, we were roommates at some point. We lived together for 3 months when we were in UK. So I'm very excited to be here sharing with you and with Anna, of course, all this information about my greatest passion in life. So as Anna said, I'm a conservation biologist. I studied applied ecology with Anna. And so just to have a little bit of a background of myself, before the Masters, I studied biology in Mexico. And then I was working for an NGO, a non-governmental organization that it's called the Mexican Fund for Nature Conservation. So basically over there, I was just working in the database, but about the project database. So that led me to want to do more on the field. That's why I choose to do the Masters that we did together. And well, I have to say that while I was in the Masters, my initial plan was to work in ecosystem analysis and work in like more broad subjects, not just, I was around that time, I was very against of focusing just in one species, but during the holiday period between the 2 years of our Masters, I had the very great experience of volunteering in a sea turtle camp in Greece. And then I couldn't go back. I was so happy, it made me so happy to work there and to see the baby turtles go to the sea, even as cheesy as it sounds. I fell in love with it. And then I changed all my plans to work around the sea turtles. So after that, I looked to do my master thesis around sea turtles. So I went to Italy to work with loggerheads, and my theme, my thesis theme was the marine debris ingestion by loggerheads in the Mediterranean Sea. And after that, I came back home for a year and a half or so while I was looking for a job. And then I found a volunteer program here in Costa Rica that volunteering with sea turtles, it's quite a big thing around the world. So you usually have to pay. And this was the only one that I found that I didn't have to pay because I didn't have money back then. So I came here. I was supposed to be here as a volunteer for 2.5 months. I ended up staying 6. And after that, I found a job. And right now I've been here almost 4 years in the same place. I was very, very lucky. And in the past years, I coordinated a project. And then I work in the visitor center of the organization that I work right now with. Its name is the Sea Turtle Conservancy. And right now I'm coordinating the field research. Well, when we start having field research, because as you know, coronavirus is it's making things complicated.
It's crazy
So
that you're not even allowed to go on the beach. It still doesn't land in my
yes,
head.
right now we're dealing with that. I hope that we can solve that soon and we can go back just to get the data.
Yeah, Jime, you're probably the best person to ask this question. Let's assume I'm dumb and I don't know.
Yes.
How would you explain an average person, a child maybe, or someone very far from conservation and biodiversity and nature as such, why turtles are important?
So turtles are usually used as an indicator of the well-being of the oceans or the earth in general, because basically turtles travel a lot. So they depend on the health of different ecosystems around their cycles. Just to briefly summarize, sea turtles, like their life cycle works, they come to the nesting area, the moms lay their eggs, moms and dads come to the area, they mate, then they lay their eggs, and then they go back to their foraging grounds. That can be 50 kilometers away, in the case, for example, hawksbills, but there are other species like greens that the population that we have here in Costa Rica, they go all around the Caribbean. Like there are turtles that we have seen here in Costa Rica that have been encountering Cuba, in Guadeloupe, in Trinidad and Tobago, in Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico. So they go all around. So they depend on everything around to be healthy. So they are healthy. In the other way, there are other things. Why do we need turtles? It's since these migrations, they are the ones that move nutrients all around the ecosystems. So, for example, the eggs that they lay on the beaches where they lay their eggs, after the babies are hatched, the eggs are still there. What the name?
The shell?
Oh, the shells. Thank you. The shells remain in the ground in the beach, and then will beach dynamics, those nutrients will get back to the dunes, and then that will benefit the vegetation in that area. When they move, they also move some nutrients. There are some algae that can grow on their shells, so there are other fishes that grow from those, that feed from those algae that grow on their shells. And in the specific cases of leatherbacks, they mainly feed from jellyfish. So, for example, there are some jellyfish blooms in Europe that are believed to, like, some of the causes of that is that we're losing the leatherbacks. So the leatherbacks are not eating the jellyfish, so the jellyfish is blooming, and then it's causing problems for fishing people, for example, in the Mediterranean Sea. Or in the case of greens, they feed, we consider them the herbivorous ones. They mainly feed from seagrass and algae. So when they go to the seagrass beds in their foraging grounds, and when they feed from the grass, it has, like, scientists have found that when the turtles feed from the grass grows bigger. And not only, the grass is not only for the turtles to eat, also there are other species, like some species of fishes that use those grounds to have a shelter, to have a home. So if the grass doesn't grow enough, they don't have a shelter. And also it fixes a little bit like the substrate, the sand on the bottom of the sea. So if there is not enough grass, all that moves, and then we have well, you cannot see clearly, and then that will affect other species. So basically, if we lose turtles, it's a chain that we will start losing other problems. Mm-hmm. Because they basically they move nutrients and they help different species along their way. That's why turtles are so important, right, to conserve. And they are also pretty, so they're nice.
People tend to sympathize those with fur, like panda, but yeah, definitely turtles are exciting and pretty. You mentioned you did your master's research on plastic debris consumption by the animals in Mediterranean. Last month, no, 2 months ago, I think in February, I gave a series of lectures, like small workshops, 45 minutes each, to school pupils in the remote area, in the villages in southern Ukraine, about conscious living, zero waste life, and I was as much as I could engaging them and inspiring them to quit using plastic and replace it with more eco-friendly products. I myself, for example, use solid shampoo. I don't use the, what is it called, the sponges and so on. Instead, I use something called loofah. I hope it's the same name in English. Anyway, and I was using the example of, but look, everything is interconnected in nature, and the plastic you're using here in Ukraine will end up in the ocean. People do not connect these two. Like, how am I sitting somewhere very deeply, somewhere in the village? How do I personally contribute to the world ocean? What would you tell to these people anywhere in the world if their country is not doesn't have a direct exit to the ocean?
So basically, the problem with, especially with plastic, one of the main problems is that we believe that if we put things in the garbage, then we're okay because we did our job. And then, but it's not really like that. We need to think more about where do these go, especially like using the garbage in the garbage bin, and then the truck that collects it comes for it, and then that goes to dump fields. But what we don't know, it's one of the biggest problems of our time is that we as humans, we didn't think about the whole full cycle of all the things that we are using. So these dump fields, the things don't just stay there. Like there are other species that, well, there used to be a forest over there, or there used to be a jungle where dump fields are now. So there are a lot of birds or like general wildlife that somehow end up there and can consume those things. Like if you think about places where don't have direct connection to land. But even if you don't think, if you don't think, sorry, even like if you pay a little bit more attention to it, you will notice that it drains. And when it drains, everything can get, like things can get floated, and the garbage that it's found in these dump fields can get carried away by the water of rain and then goes to the rivers, and from the rivers to the ocean. So even if you think that the plastic bag that you are throwing into your home, it's just going to be safely, it's going to end safely in a dump field, maybe it's not. Maybe all the garbage that we see on the beach, maybe they are like, probably they were from our own homes. The place where I work right now hasn't done anything like that yet, but there are other organizations around this area here in Northern Caribbean, Costa Rica, that they have been doing a research about the plastic that ends up on the beach. And 2 years ago, we were paying more attention to that. And here, if you walk on the beach, you can find things that came from England, Holland, even Egypt. Like we had one time that we had a container, a milk container from Egypt. So if you think about it, it's everything is connected somehow. Currents go really far away all around the oceans. So it's important to not only be concerned about the impact that you have in like around your area, because everything is connected somehow. So even if you think that it's only local, generally it's not only local, that everything is a domino effect. Like things that you affect around your house will have a consequence in the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tried to do, but I think I failed at that time. That opportunity, rare opportunity that I had to speak in front of kids. Jime, back to your work at the center. Yes. What exactly do you do? And give me that story that you shared with me previously about how turtles started to serve the community in more ways than just meat.
Sure. So right now, my job is to coordinate the volunteers and the research assistants that come to the station. So every time that we have a new volunteer or a research assistant, I train them on how to identify different species of sea turtles, how to locate them on the beach. We do, like the work that we do on the beach are really early in the morning and at night. really early in the morning, we count all the tracks that were made the night before, so we can have an idea of how the nesting behavior it's working, if we have more turtles than previous years or less, in which areas of the beach we have more turtles. And then at night, we look for the actual turtles. And then if we have the opportunity, we mark some of those nests so we can follow them through their incubation periods. And then at the end, we excavate them to know more about the hatching and the emergent success, to see if we are doing right, if we are having problems. We have some very specific projects around. For example, with the nest, we also have been deploying some data loggers to know more about the temperature inside the nests. And also, when we go out at night, what the main work that we do is we look for the turtles, and after they finish laying, we approach them to tag them and check if they have tags, and to measure them, and to do a general body check to see if everything is right. With this data, well, we haven't been doing this for more than 60 years now. So we have a really big database, and we can know things. For example, I can tell you now that the turtles that come to Tortuguero to nest, they are very loyal. Like more than 70% of the turtles lay their nests in the same 2 kilometers every time that they come. They don't come every year. They come every 2 or every 3 years. But every time that they come, more than 75% of them lay their eggs in the same 2 kilometers around that. Like the beach that we monitor is 8 kilometers long. So there are turtles that we have always at the end of the beach or always in the middle of the beach. So that's something quite fascinating about how, like, if you see the ocean, it's like, wow, they know somehow how to go back to the same place. Also, we can know a little bit more about their growth, that we know now that they don't grow that much after. It's like us, once we reach our sexual maturity, we don't grow that more anymore. It's the same with the turtles.
Not in height, but in the width, we still grow.
Yes, we still grow in width, not that much in height. And well, and one of the biggest importance of the place where I work, it's we were the first sea turtle organization that works in conservation. We were the first ones that started with this work, thanks to a really cool guy that his name is Archie Carr. He was an herpetologist from the University of Florida. He sadly passed away the same year that I was born. So now almost 33 years ago, he passed away. But he was like a really great guy. He came here to know more about the turtles because at some point he wanted to know, in the early 50s, he was gathering information about the turtles, and he found out that we knew almost nothing about them. So he started gathering information around the turtles. Somebody told him that there was a place in Costa Rica that he should come to visit. He came, and he saw, like, it was impressed. Like, there are thousands and thousands of turtles that come every year. But around that time, when he came, people would directly use the turtles to survive. Like the place over here, like the place where I'm sitting right now, it was very isolated around that time. It was really hard to get here. So people would just leave from whatever they can find around. And turtles were a very easy way to get some protein in their diet, so they would directly use them. And then Archie Carr started to work in the area. They started to study the turtles because of the work that he did. First, I really like this part of the story. He didn't only come here to Tortuguero, he had quite a nice trip all around the Caribbean, and he decided to write a book about his experience. And fortunately for the turtles, he was a very, very good writer, especially for nature, because he published a book that it's called The Windward Road, and it tells stories about the turtles from different places in the Caribbean. And it was such a well-written book that somebody in the States read the book, fell in love with the idea, bought a lot of copies of the book, gave it to his closest friends that he thought that they might be interested in knowing more about the turtles and helping him with the cause. So their friends fell in love. They founded the Brotherhood of the Sea Turtle, and then they looked for Dr. Carr. No one of them knew Archie Carr. So they liked the idea of the book. They looked for Dr. Carr, and then they told him, we want to help you. We want to help you to conserve the green turtles of the Caribbean. So that's how in 1959, the organization was created. Back then, it was called the Caribbean Conservation Corporation, but then in 2009, we changed the name to the Sea Turtle Conservancy. And since then, we've been working on that. So we have this really big database with information. And also one of the biggest achievements of the work that this person did, it's he started gathering data. And that's how, with all the data that they started gathering in the 50s and 60s, the national park that we have around here, the Tortuguero National Park, was created. And then at the beginning, it was hard for the people because they were limited in the use of the resources that we had in the area. So at the beginning, they were not so happy about the creation of the national park because they couldn't have their regular source of food. But then in the 80s, after a while in the 80s, the people were attracted by the turtles. So there were people that started coming to see the turtles. At the beginning, people were allowed to just go on the beach with no regulations. There were not that many people. At the beginning, we only had like 300 people a year. Like in 1982, there were only like 300-400 people that were coming to see the turtles. But then the tourism started increasing, like gradually, more people. So by 1990, we had around 1,000 people coming all year round, to see the turtles. And that's when people in the community and also people from the STC, they noticed like, okay, it's not good that the people are just walking around on the beach because they are scaring the turtles away. So around 1991, there was the first workshop to train people, locals, to train them on how to guide these people, like how to organize these people to take them to the beach, to look for the turtles and find them and show, like having more information for the people, not just go and see the turtle, like be responsible about the way that you see the turtle. And then we started having more and more people. I have to say that last year we had more than around 40 to 50,000 people coming just to see the turtles. So in the early 2000s, there was another concern about all this amount of people going to the beach, because initially the tour guides had to take their, like in groups of 10, they would just walk on the beach looking for the turtles. And then they would scare turtles away because there were too many people on the beach. So we created what it's called the spotter program. So basically now it's people wait in a base on the beach behind the vegetation. The spotters are just 2 to 3 people that look for the turtles on the beach. And once a turtle is ready to be seen, the people with the tourists with their guide go to we have different exits on the beach that are marked with numbers. So the spotter can tell the guide, okay, we have a turtle at the north of exit 31. So they go to exit 31, they wait until everything is ready, and then they go and see the turtle without trying to minimize the impact that we have in the other turtles. And with that, that's one of the key points of why this place is considered one of the most successful conservation projects, and it's because we successfully managed to change the direct consumption of turtles to a non-direct consumption of them, because instead of killing a turtle.
Yeah, you mean people used to eat turtles, meat of the turtles, and now they are
used to eat turtles.
And now
they sell the experience of seeing the turtles. So that's what was so great about that's the key to the success that we have in this place, that we managed to generate, not only we, all together managed to generate an income from an activity that is not directly taking the turtles. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have the success here. So there was a study made some years ago that, for example, if you sell one turtle, maybe you will get, I don't know, around $100 maybe for one turtle death. And then in these tours, it has changed over time, but it's more or less that you can charge $25 for each person to see the turtle. So each guide can show one turtle, like every time that they show a turtle, like with a full group, they're going to take $250 out of a turtle. And you're not killing her. She's going to come back at some point. So,
And you can show
as I said before, yes, you can show her many times, not just once. It was not such an easy way because, as I said before, there were some times when locals were not so happy that they couldn't take, but it was something that worked over time because of we managed to generate an income for the people in the community.
Right. How long did it take to teach the community, to change the perception of the community?
I would say around 40 years.
40 years.
Because there is still some locals that have been living for a very long time that they still believe that they should have the right to eat turtles. So some people, like, it's not a complete change, but most of the community is aware of the importance of the turtles, and they are aware of that because they can generate an income from turtles as a touristic attraction.
Right. And is it banned now to kill the turtles for food purposes?
Yes, right now it's banned. Something important about this gradual change is that the ban was not applied immediately. It was a gradual thing. So, for example, at the beginning, it was like, okay, each family can only take one turtle a week or 2 turtles a week. So it was gradual that they changed. At some point, they were still allowed to take the turtles to be able to have some food. But right now, it's totally illegal to kill a turtle.
What did they replace the protein source with, if not the turtle?
Well, right now we get meat, chicken, pork, not from the area. Like, we don't produce, there is nothing produced around the area. We're in the middle of a national park. So people around here, they just depend on tourism, but right now it's a big of a problem. Right. But everything comes from the other parts of Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. Like the proteins, beans, rice, everything comes from other parts in Costa Rica.
Reminded me of feijoada. Rice and beans. This year, this season, most probably 99% of certainty, there will be no tourist season. How do you think the center will survive? Or do you think internal tourism will flourish?
We hope that around August, so the big season, the big part of the turtle season is in September. So we hope that this thing, the COVID-19 situation, changes around July, August, so we can start having some tourists. Because the problem around here is that most of the tourism that comes here and that helps this community to survive are Europeans. So
not the Americans, the US.
There are some Americans, but I would say that the most common nationality that visits the national park are French, Americans, and Germans. So we rely a lot on the European tourism. This year, to be honest, I don't know how this is going to go. In our case, for example, here in the station, we don't survive with none of these activities. We left all the revenue that generates from the turtle watch. It goes directly to the community because we believe that that's the key to keep the success going on. That the community receives the revenue. What we live from it's private donors mainly, and also we have a small visitor center. It's a small museum that we also, it helps us with the expenses that are generated by the running of the station. So right now we depend on donations basically. So we hope that people still donate to us, and we are cutting like some non-basic activities that we can do, so to save some money to continue with the work. And yeah, with the community, I hope that the tourism starts again sometime later at the end of this year, so the community can survive. Because yeah, they are the ones that are getting the worst part, because they depend on people coming. Like, this community survives only from tourism. There is no other activity, not fishing, not even fishing, because it's a national park. Also, it's a marine national park, so people are not allowed to fish. So
we are blocked from every side. No fishing.
Yes, no fishing.
Yeah. So any private person, any individual can support the center from,
Yes, anybody can support us. Like, if anybody, like, we would really much appreciate.
Yeah, you should give the link.
I can send you the link. It's you can go directly to our webpage, that it's conserveturtles.org. Or you can just Google Sea Turtle Conservancy, and you will find and you can donate directly there. We have a really cool way to donate, that you can adopt a turtle and you can name a turtle. You will know the tag number that she has. You cannot follow her because they don't have a satellite transmitter. That's quite expensive. Though, if you would like to have a turtle with satellite transmitter, it could be nice. You can help us with our research, but it's around $5,000 to follow a turtle. But the adoptions that we regularly sell are just $30. And with that, you get to name a turtle, you know her tag, and at the end of the year, we'll let you know if we encounter your turtle again on the beach.
How cool.
Yeah, if people that are listening to us would like to help us to continue with the project, we would very much appreciate any donation. You can just go to the webpage, and there is a lot of information about turtles on the webpage too.
Yeah, I will definitely leave the link in the show notes. How many species do you find there at the center?
So here on Tortuguero Beach, we consider 4. The one that we get the most, the one that we are known for, are greens. Greens, we have them in big numbers. We are the most important nesting area in the Western Hemisphere, and in the world we are the second one, just surpassed. Like, the only ones that are ahead of us are Rain Island in Australia. But besides that, we're the most important nesting beach for green turtles. The numbers fluctuate a lot because turtles don't come every year, they come every 2 or 3 years. But we have every year in between 40,000 nests to 150,000 nests in the whole beach. We have a 29-kilometer beach, so we have a lot of those. Then we have greens, sorry, those are greens. Then we have hawksbills and leatherbacks. Those ones, we don't have that many. Leatherbacks, every year we're having less and less. We believe that that's, maybe they don't like us that much anymore. We're not a main nesting beach for leatherbacks. So there are other areas that are important beaches for that. So their numbers are consistent or improving. So we hope that they just don't like us that much anymore. Mm-hmm. And then we have hawksbills. Hawksbills, with those, we are like every year, we are also getting better numbers. But compared with greens that we have thousands of nests, with hawksbills, we only get around 70 nests every year. And eventually, very, very eventually, we get loggerheads. So we still count them because they come from time to time. We're on the very edge of their nesting distribution. That's why we don't have them so regularly. But for us, it's like if one of us gets to see a loggerhead on the beach, it's like a big deal. I got to see one in 2017, but I was not working in this part of the beach. And
you still remember this event?
Of course I do. It was impressive. Like, wait a minute, it looks, oh my God, it's a different species. So yeah, it's quite big. So basically 4. We consider 4 out of the 7 that live in the world.
So to wrap it up, there was one guy who traveled in the Caribbean, fell in love with how turtles behave, look, and they basically stole his heart. He wrote the book. Someone else believed in the idea and started the conservation facility. That is now, so that became the center, the magnet, the core attraction, the conservation of turtles. That attracts now volunteers, tourists from around the world, including Europe. I mean,
Yes, that's basically, to summarize, that's the story.
That's crazy. Are there any requirements for becoming a volunteer at your conservation?
For becoming a volunteer, well, we have two types of volunteers. We have the long-term, that those are our research assistants. That's regularly people that are studying something related with conservation and would like to pursue a career in conservation. For those ones, it's you have to apply to become a research assistant. The applications are usually at the beginning of each year. You get to choose if you want to be here for leatherback season or for green season. For leatherback, you have to stay here for 2 months. For green, you have to stay here for 3 months. And that involves, you just have to get here and we will provide you with food and accommodation and a 2 weeks training. I will be the one that is training them.
That's definitely,
and then we have
there. If you're training, that's a chance.
And then we have the Eco Volunteer program that's only for 1 or 2 weeks. You have to pay for that. There is it includes the transportation from San Jose to Tortuguero. You get food and accommodation from us, 2 days of training. You can get as much as you want to involve on the field work. And it also includes a canal tour in the canals inside the national park. The cost of that, it's also in the webpage. And if you would like to become a volunteer, you can check for all the information in the webpage, because mainly that's not directly managed by us here in Costa Rica. It's managed by our central office. It's in Gainesville in Florida, in the United States. So they are the ones that solve those doubts and can arrange the dates if somebody would like to come here to do some field work with us at Sea Turtles.
To do the research one, so option 1, you have to somehow prove that you're going for scientific purposes, for the research purposes.
Yes. Yeah. For the first option, there is a selection process. Like we will see, you need to send a letter of motives. Like we need to know how involved you are, especially because living here, it's hard. It's hard because you live where you work and you work where you live.
Pretty much the reality of everyone today.
So you need to really, we need to be sure that you are going to be able to live with that. Also, it's an isolated place. So you really need to be here, you need to have some passion about it. Otherwise, your experience can be a very bad experience. Like we've had people that they were okay, but they are not going to do this anymore. And there's other people like myself that somehow we cannot stop doing this.
Well, that's an amazing way to test your wishes and desires versus reality.
Yes.
Maybe, and I know it's for a fact, students often romanticize their profession. They think they will be there in the jungle, enjoying fresh air. But in fact, the research work is mostly what? Excel?
Yes, well, in here, it's, for example, it's not only going to the beach to look for the turtles, it's also you have to clean the equipment, you have to make sure that the equipment is ready, you have to learn very well how to take data, because it's really sad if you are 5 hours on the beach looking for turtles and then you didn't take the right data, and then it's like everything goes to the dumpster because you didn't take the data well. So that's why we need to be sure that for the selection process, that's why we need to be sure that we are choosing the right person. And also that's why we have such a very strong, long training process, because we need to make sure that the people are going to take the data well, because you are contributing to a 60-year-old database that has been working every year constantly. So we need to make sure that the data it's taken right to be able to trust in the data.
Yeah. Don't mess with the 60-year-old archive of data.
Yeah.
Jimena, here's the question. Here's the thing. Do you think you would call this type of tourism generated out of a conservation facility a conservation tourism? Because I'm wondering if it really has a separate name, or is it just part of so-called sustainable tourism?
So regularly people call it ecotourism, but the problems with ecotourism comes with the thing is that it can be ecotourism if it's sustainable and because it provides income and awareness to the people that participate in it. But for example, here in Tortuguero, we are having a problem that this ecotourism, it's getting on the way of become a mass tourism. So at the beginning, it can be nice, like if you have just small groups of people that go into nature, and it doesn't only apply for Tortuguero, it applies for a lot of other places where they do this ecotourism. It's if you regulate it enough and you like have rules to do it, you can like obtain a lot of good consequences about it. Like you can make people aware, and you can also get income to keep going with the conservation activities that can happen in an area. But then the problem is when it becomes a mass tourism, because instead of just having 3 people walking in a path every day, you have 200 people. That then 200 people really make an impact on the nature and the wildlife that it's around it. So here in Tortuguero, I think we are passing that very thin line between tourism and ecotourism. And also people sometimes here, like the idea is that you come here 2 or 3 days, you see the turtles, you also see the national park, you learn something, but then there are people that they just want to come and see the turtles and then leave. That it's like, it's not the full package. Like we would like them to have the full package. And especially we've been seeing that at the end of the nesting season, we are trying to work on some more strict regulations about it, because the beach is not, it's closed only from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. during some part of the year, up to October when the nesting season ends. But then the nests take 2 months to hatch. So November and December, the beach is not closed, but the babies are being born, and people are super obsessed to having a picture, a selfie with a baby hatchling. So it's becoming a problem, a bigger and bigger problem every year, because we're finding more and more disturbed nests. That the problem is that people see that the nest is about to hatch, so they dig up, they take out the babies, and then if you do that, you more likely are going to kill those babies because they're not going to have enough energy, they are not ready to get out. So with the disturbance, you force them to get out before they are ready. And then it's really sad that we are losing turtles because people want to take pictures with them.
How sad.
So we are working on having better regulations about that. And yeah, those are the things that it's a never-ending work, because we are having more and more people. As the rest of the world, we are more and more. So we need to be more aware of the consequences. As you were saying, it's the same thing as the plastic, as the trying to teach people about the plastic. It's that we believe that, oh, if I take a seashell from the ocean, from the beach, it's like, oh, it's just one. It's like, yeah, but we are 8 billion people. Like, if each one of us does the same, only one, then like our individual actions have a consequence. So
right. To wrap this conversation on conservation up, would you mind suggesting a book for anyone interested in turtles in particular, or in conservation? What do you think is worth reading?
So I would highly recommend you to read this, The Windward Road, the one that I was telling you about. I will write you so you have it, in case that I'm not pronouncing it right. It's called The Windward Road by Archie Carr. But also there are different books about turtles. It depends on how much you would like to get involved in.
Which one influenced you in particular?
A book that it was really hard for me to read but it took me several months to be able to read it, but it's quite shocking. And it's one of the things that kind of keeps me going on. It's A Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. That one, it's really hard. It's really raw. It was written in the 60s, but it was quite a shock for me, and it's very inspiring. And also all the books from Stephen Jay Gould, those ones, like the problems that I've read those in Spanish, so I don't know the names in English, but it's like the Panda's Thumb and The Greatness of Life. He's a very, he writes very well, so I would recommend like those books. It's they are really inspiring because they make you think in things about wildlife that you wouldn't regularly think. So
that's exactly what I'm looking for.
I would recommend you those. Yeah,
a different angle on conservation, sustainability, because I am sadly, or I don't know, luckily, I'm more in the corporate world, in how corporations respond, how they act, return on investment versus social return on investment, corporate social responsibility. So after our masters, I find myself very far away from nature, from conservation, from all this beautiful field work that we did on ecotoxicology, for example. So coming back slowly.
Yeah, the thing is that it's really hard to find like good books about nature, because regularly they are more involved like in the technicalities of it. So for example, like books about, now that I'm trying to think about books about turtles, it's most of them is like they are really interesting about how turtles work, but they don't have the narrative of history,
yeah,
of
like
story.
a storytelling aspect.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard. Like maybe there are, it's just that I am not aware of their existence. Like what has impressed me more about to continue with this job is the things that I've lived in the field, or stories that I've heard about people, but not in literature.
Right. So it's, yeah, as with everything, a real life touch, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, it was very cool talking to you today. Thank you very much. I know you have to go and pick up your volunteer at the center very soon. Maybe you want to give one last sentence, one piece of advice for the listeners of Sustainability Explored.
One piece of advice, I would say something that it took me a very long to do. It's try to find a passion. It's like try to find a passion and try to find something that you care about. Because once you find that thing that you care about, and something that you really care about, not something like, oh, I would like to have a lot of money, or like something that you care about, especially like look around nature, like go back to nature and find something that you care about. And even if you only like, if your main passion is you have kids or you have a husband, like think about their well-being, and then you will notice that we have to be better. We have to be better person for not. Yes, we have to be better for the planet, and because we are going extinct if we don't do something better. But it's something that it also brings a lot of like joy to your life. If you do things for the sake of helping others or for the sake of a bigger purpose, you can find a sense of purpose in life, not just have this very square life where you go to work and then you just go to this supermarket on the weekends. Just try to find something, and even if you have that job from 9 to 5, and then like try to find something that you really enjoy, something that really it's a passion for you. Because something that I really believe is that we need a lot of people that care about the environment. We need more scientists, but we also need happy people, because that's one of the biggest problems that we also have. Like everybody's angry with everybody else and we are all like unhappy. So we need to be happier, and once we are happier, we can help each other better and we can do nicer things if we are happy.
Definitely. I totally share this view and very happy to hear that from you today. Thank you very much again. Amazing.
My pleasure. I'm very, very happy to have done this. It's always nice to talk with you and with the people that listen to us. Yeah, thank you very much.